What's up, creative community? What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to Open Class Doodles, Open Doodle Classes, Tactical Doodles for Success, episode number 8. And today it's going to be about the law of attraction. And I brought in a beautiful guest, someone who I highly appreciate. For over 2 years now, I'm communicating with this guy. One of the greatest conversations I've ever had on YouTube I had with this fine gentleman over here. He's a hyper creative human being, an acting coach, a father, an author, a podcaster. And you might want to check out also our talk on the studio that we shot years ago. I was just recently guest also on his podcast. And today we're going to, talk with him because he's a master of energy. He is a master also of humor and how to kind of perceive life and its dirty tricks and games, sometimes from a different humorous perspective, because I feel we need humor, especially in those hard times that we're facing right now. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to this new episode, to this new program. And I'm really pumped to dive deep today into this great topic and have a great, fruitful, and very inspirational talk with my man, Dean West. And you are muted. That's okay. Now you're on.
That's part of the humor, right? I was gonna say I like to kind of keep like knowledge with the side of fart jokes.
I love that. I love that approach, and we need that. And I also like to welcome everybody on Facebook watching us right now, on Instagram watching us right now. You're more than welcome to jump over to my YouTube channel and also to subscribe to this fine gentleman, Dean West, an acting coach, an actor, a gorgeous looking human being, an inspirational person that lives in a very special town. And we want to dive also deep a bit into his story because there's a lot of inspirational stuff that we can get from. But we love to do that always with a topic, always something that we can talk about, so we can, let our wisdom flow through the topic, and not just to show off, but to give you something that is tangible, advice, insight, experience, tools that you can use for your own creative workflow. So I'm really pumped about today's episode.
What I love about that is just the topic in general is one of those topics that it doesn't really matter who you listen to. I think built into the whole idea of Hermetics is the questioning of all of it to begin with. So no matter what we tell you, go deeper, find some other information, and let them combat with each other, because that idea of polarity already, it is the idea that no matter what you believe, even if I explain exactly what the idea of the all is,
right,
it will never be the actual all of the explanation, because you can't encompass it all.
Right, absolutely. There is a beautiful YouTube channel called the Master Key Society. I highly encourage everybody to check it out. And they have old books that they read out loud. And there are many books on these beautiful ancient lores that they are reading out loud. And I, go there and listen to these books. Take your notes, guys, because probably it's going to be kind of canceled, erased in a couple of years and eradicated.
Yeah.
And this is the true wisdom. But what type of book was it for you? How, did your whole interest around this kind of started? Where did it, how did it spark?
Man, I don't even know what initially got me into. I know what dove me deeper. There was a documentary years ago, and this was probably 2012 or 13, somewhere around there. I could be completely wrong. It might have been before that. Actually, it had to be before that, because I didn't move back to New Orleans until 2009. So maybe 2006 or 7, somewhere around there. But it's called Inner World, Outer Worlds, and it is a documentary series. I think it's a 3-part series, or 4. I think it's 3. And it kind of initially kind of starts within like the Om and that initial idea there, and goes through.
Right.
And I remember just sitting in awe at my friend's house that he has like this, it was basically one whole wall of his house was his screen, and he's just got surround sound and everything, and I'm just like, because
you got it.
my Catholic ass is just like, this is wow. How did I miss all this?
Right.
Opened a whole new door, and
Right.
like you, I am a
Epiphany in a way.
yeah, and I'm like you. I'm a connoisseur of knowledge. Like I just want to know more, even if 90% of the world tells me this is all bullshit. Don't listen to it. Well, I'm like, well, I want to
Right.
hear it because I want to know the bullshit that you
Yeah.
know.
Right.
And then
I
I'll
want to know the
decide.
real stuff. And usually there where nobody else likes to go, this is where you find your golden nuggets that then will further like create your kingdom, right?
Yeah. Well, and it's like you and I spoke about with, with acting, with religion, spirituality, everything has a version that everyone's going to give you their own personal version because it
Hmm.
filtered through their perspective on life. So the more perspective you get to play in there,
Hmm.
the more things may resonate with you that totally didn't resonate with them.
Hmm.
Um, I I I worded it this way one time, and are you a Bruce Lee fan?
Okay, are you kidding? I'm
Dumb
practicing Wing
question.
Chun.
Are you?
Yes.
I gotta send you my dummy that I built.
Oh,
It's
fantastic.
killer.
We
Anyway,
need
but
to talk about that. Yeah.
another tangent. But
Another adventure.
um,
Another
so
another episode. Another
yeah,
episode. We
absolutely.
talk about Shifuli.
The Tower of Death. Do you
Mm,
remember that film? Right.
sure,
So
absolutely.
he works his way up, and the last final fighter was
Kareem
Kareem
Abdul-Jabbar.
Abdul, and he's a giant, right, compared to
Yes.
Bruce, his little tiny ass.
He had his
And
iconic yellow
oh
tracksuit
man,
on with the black stripes.
I moved
Yes.
it, but I have a jacket that my buddy gave me for Christmas that is
Nice.
basically that. So I wear it when I'm in my Bruce Lee mode. I have a
Oh, very
huge poster
cool.
on the side over here. I grew up with Bruce Lee because my dad was a huge martial art fan, and
Mm.
like my dad was one of those doing handstands upstairs kind of guys. So I started in that, and then kind of ventured into everything myself.
But I see there already there was some openings to
Oh
the other
yeah,
matters, right? To the planes that are not always given and rational and structured and well written out. To the planes where things must be felt before they can be, you know, coined into words, right?
hmm
Transformed into language. First, they have to be kind of absorbed and sensed before kind of speculating about them rationally.
yeah. Well, and that's what's great about Bruce is Bruce had this whole other spiritual side that most
Oh,
people didn't even, they're,
guys, read his book. It's
oh
amazing. It's amazing. It's actually exactly the opposite of what I thought it would be. It's full of quotes and reflections. And it's so wise. I mean,
yeah.
we're talking about a master here.
Oh
When we're
yeah,
talking
a
about
life.
masters, everybody respects masters. I remember once being at the concert of a Michael Jackson concert, and there was everybody, the whole world was there and respecting him. You saw skinheads there, Rastafarians, like real Rastafarians, like
Yeah.
"What about that daddy," like real. You could see them like with the white entrenched beard. You could see hip hoppers, me dressed like Criss Cross, and you could see all walks, like from all walks of life. You could see people shouting, screaming, crying, hugging each other
Back
because they
when you
were,
had
yeah, but they were
back when you had to unbutton your pants from behind and
it
then pee
was
in front.
crazy. I mean, I had a Redskins T-shirt. Everything was twisted. Everything was crisscrossed. I mean,
So I guess in reality, I probably started some of that journey then because while
mhm,
the martial arts is what brought me to Bruce, the mentality that he had on everything is what kept me in that world
mhm,
that then brought me into acting because
mhm,
he was the first to say, here are all these forms of martial arts. When we mix them together, we find what works for us.
right.
No
And
difference with acting, right?
absolutely. And I have so many references to him also when I teach my clients. It
hmm
doesn't matter if they're acting clients or just performance clients or communicators, right? There is so much of being fluid and being effective, like
Yeah.
Shifuli was preaching, right? Be effective because that is what people like to see, right? And this is also how your body ultimately likes to express itself. And if
Yeah.
we are effective, it doesn't matter what we're pursuing. Like to be a great father, we like to be a great human being, we like to be a great actor, we like to be a great businessman. Um, when we're in this flow of this state, and we're going to explore that now through the doodles and through, of course, your
Yeah.
insights and your experiences, we see how things finally align and make sense on a bigger scope as well, because we're too short-sighted. We live a life that is full of distractions, where everybody's battling over our awareness to get a piece of our concentration, because we know where our concentration goes, this is where our energy flows. So they know exactly if they can trap us, right, with our focus somewhere, right, they can keep us there basically for the rest
hmm
of our lives, right? Give us toys, give us distraction, give us drugs, give us all these sensical, nonsensical things. They are part of the exploration of life. So in a way, of course, like, like the masters are teaching us, of course, you have a state where you denigrate yourself. You have a phase in your life where you fall down the cliff, where you kind of,
Yeah.
stumble, where you do stupid things. It's about getting up, realizing what you really want. And so I think today's presentation going to interest a lot of people out there, because I think everybody can get out of this. And like you said already, let's start with the most important thing, because everything in the end is the mind,
Mm-hmm.
right? This conversation happens in the mind. Our perception happens in the mind, and Hermeticism starts there, because all is the mind.
I think so I'll give the idea with what we were speaking with the Tower of Death. I
Mm-hmm.
look at it in a way that as Bruce worked his way up the Tower of Death, it's kind of how we walk our way through life, and raising our frequency.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot have a conversation with someone that's at a lower frequency than you and expect to have an equal conversation. It's why you and I hitch so well on our conversations.
Beautiful.
Because
True.
if you watch Bruce, he doesn't fight a bigger and a badass fighter until he works his way to the next level. So each level being a new frequency, as you elevate your consciousness and your awareness, you're able to have conversations that made absolutely no sense when you first heard them.
This is absolutely fantastic.
Introduction to the mind is all. Most people may hear this right now and go, this is completely crazy. And then in a month, come back and watch this and go,
Oh, now it makes sense.
wow.
But this is, guys, we haven't prepared this, because I know that with Dean I can go. I just, I could like, you can like turn it on and then you go. You just insert a topic and he spits out knowledge, wisdom, and funny stuff. So I knew this is going to work out fantastic. But this is like, we have prepared this. Like, you can also assess this.
Yeah.
But this is perfectly fitting what you're saying. The
Yeah,
Tower of Death.
work your way through with me.
You work your way through it. So we start, of course, with understanding, with the self-discovery. We need to finally understand who we are. Like, who are we? Who am I? What is it that I want? How bad do I want it? We have to transcend that matter, that inertia, that conflict, right? And this is where Master Bruce Lee also started. He started down there, right? Where it's sturdy, where it's rugged, where it's
Street fighting
in the alley, right?
Yep.
Learning how the bad guys were punching, learning how the sneaky guys were attacking, learning how the devious guys were masquerading their attacks. And through that, he achieved some sort of self-mastery, right? Because he went there where it was the darkest, where it's where it's the most dangerous. And
the shadow streets,
the alleys. Plato, when he was talking about the cave, and then kind of, transcending and ascending from the cave and resurfacing, there is something about this analogy of the cave. I mean, think about this. Zeus was born in a cave. The Madonna is coming out of the rocks. It's Madonna from the rocks, La Maria delle Rocce. In some stories, Jesus was born in a cave or in a grotto.
Either way, the risen Christ had to come out of a cave.
Mithra is coming out of a stone. We're walking around the Kaaba, which is a stone. There is the cave of the patriarchs in Jerusalem, right? It's thousands of years old, and allegedly the prophet is coming out of that. Leonardo da Vinci disappeared 2 years in a cave from 76 to 78. He disappeared in a cave, allegedly. Francis of Assisi had his vision, his first epiphany of God, his first, encounter with God in a cave. So we need to be in there, right? We need to be in darkness. We need to be just surrounded with our own shadows for a while.
Yeah, I think that's the key of that. It's that darkness and realizing, bringing in that duality that we come into with Hermetics, is that duality of knowing that all of your light that exists has the equal and opposite darkness. Most of us tend to be so scared to even deal with the darkness because of our, whether it's religious connotations or whatever that came along with it, we're all so scared of it that we don't allow ourselves to bring that together so that we have this whole to work from. We tend to only try to work from that one side that we with
Absolutely. How do you teach your clients to transcend that? How like because we're all starting like
hmm
with of course we need to kind of first uncover the jungle with our the beautiful people that come into our studio that are looking for help.
yeah.
So where's your initial leverage to get them out of the cave or let them realize that they're in there for
Yeah.
a reason, that it's okay to be there, right?
Well, and you and I both talk about acting for the human, right? We don't necessarily just coach acting for actors. We coach regular day people that want to use this acting understanding and how
Sure.
to use it to better themselves in their own life. So
Absolutely.
I combine the work of learning how to do character breakdown and character work
Hmm.
with this self-discovery of ourselves. I don't
Hmm.
give you the script and say, let's do character work. We're going to
Hmm.
do that, right? You're going to do it on a
Sure.
completely different character and all that stuff as you get there. But first, here's a character breakdown, right? All these questions about self. Work on you. Go bring me back this breakdown of you, your demons, your darkness, your light, your spirit, all of it.
Yep.
Find out where it's at and let's get this thing on paper first. Because now, one, you also realize that it takes all of that to understand character to begin with. So when you do start character breakdowns, you can do that for character because we want to
It's
kind
like
of
reverse
understand as much.
engineering the process, right? In a way.
Absolutely. I mean, when we talk again back to hermetics, within, so without. So if I can adjust those things first in here, then I can start seeing it out here. But it's hard for me to go back and forth if I can't find it in me first. So I'll give them the breakdown. I'll let you start with the breakdown, find all of that darkness that you have, and we might even create a scene on your own. Find the darkest version of you that you found within there. Let's create that
Nice.
character, create that scene, go play because
Yes, makes
if
a lot of sense.
I don't know if you've seen some of the studies coming out, but they've been showing how we learn so much faster if we're doing it in the version of play and fun
Oh, of
versus
course.
the study,
Of
right?
course.
So when you start getting play and you know it's okay if you're the grossest human being you've ever been
Yes.
because you're just playing. You're just playing.
It's a role-playing game. It's a screenplay. We're actors in a play, right? It's a game. If we know the rules of the game, that there is light because there is darkness, it is totally okay to accept the darkness. I always say, sometimes people come in and say, "Oh, I struggle with procrastination. I struggle with depression. I can't get my ass off the couch to do the great work to become a great actor." It's like, look at this. Look at this graphic. And this is pretty much also what I show my people here. It's like your vision is your reality and your truth. If your vision is a screen and you play games and you smoke weed, this is your truth, right? There won't be any greatness coming out of this, even though I believe in your heart, deep down there, your intentions are most sincere and beautiful. But what you are doing is what you are reflecting to your mind is trash, is
Mhm.
toxic behavior. And absolutely, you're intoxicating yourself and you're doing this is your truth. So mentalism, hermeticism teaches us to take control of our mind, to deal with the darker aspects and not be afraid of them. They're part of one sphere or one stream, if you like to call it. So I had Matthew Berthaud on the chat a couple of days, or a couple of episodes ago. He's from Kansas, but working also in DC. He's a voice coach, right? And he lets you find his, your voice, your resonance. And of course, by cleaning up your voice, you also have to deal with aspects that are a bit funky, but they make the voice recognizable and unique.
Mhm.
So without the darkness, your play, your game won't be as unique, as remarkable as the ones who are accepting the darker sides, aka Peter Sellers, Jack Nicholson, right? And John Malkovich. Look at all these incredible presenters of entertainment in life. Why do we admire them so much? Why do we admire Gary Oldman so much?
We
And
resonate with the truth. We
exactly, and they've
just
accepted
resonate with
theirs.
that truth because you can watch the actors out there, 'cause
Mhm.
and I don't mean this in a negative way, but our industry has, these people that can truly live in this moment to moment, and then we've
Mhm.
got really good actors.
Yes,
No hate to either one of them. You guys are
absolutely.
working, much
Yes,
respect, right?
everybody's
This is
doing
a
his job. Yes,
this is
this is
a tough industry in general. So if you're doing well, congrats, right?
right.
But you can watch TV all day long, and you can watch plenty of actors that you're like, this is so bad.
Yes,
Right? I mean, it's true.
yes.
But and then you can watch people like a Gary Oldman, and you don't even judge the acting because you just feel so much of yourself
Mhm.
going through this with them, right? I always say if you start judging someone's acting, they're
You're
probably
off
not the
already. Yeah,
best.
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
But if you start judging character, going, "Oh my God, I hate this person. I can't wait for next week's episode." You're gonna
Exactly.
go
This
back.
is like, oh, I hate this guy. It's like,
Mm,
let me see how he did it.
have you been watching blah blah blah? It's so stupid. I watch it every week.
Every week, I can't stand that show. Oh, I gotta go home.
But that's the thing when we can allow ourselves to fill all of ourselves within it. I was doing a session yesterday with an actor, and every time, and you probably do the same. I try to get you to reference the I am. Give me the
Mhm,
I am version when you're
mhm,
talking character. Don't
mhm.
give me the she because
Right,
we're automatically splitting, which
right,
means we're automatically judging, and we're
right.
automatically having to figure out what that person would do. No, 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 no,
I
no.
I totally
You.
agree. With certain actors, especially when the newbies, I give them that space in the beginning,
Hmm.
but then increasingly, I kind of push them to where it's one thing and one thing only. So because it's just about deflecting the
Yeah.
responsibility. It's nothing else.
Well, and you can like kind of let them bring it back, like the breakdown for this character she was working on. I don't remember what the word was, that the initial word, and of course you
Hmm.
know this, but not every actor knows. When you get a breakdown, that's what casting thought would be a great explanation of character.
Hmm.
That's not what the writer, the director,
Hmm.
or the script might even truly hold. And I always say there's a combination of character that you have to find. There
Hmm.
is what the script says, there's what the other characters say about it, there's what the
Hmm.
character thinks about himself, and then
Hmm.
there's what you find in it.
Hmm.
Where the
Yeah, yeah,
truth
yeah.
is in there, right?
Right.
So whatever the word was what she just blanketed all the way over character. And I was like, that's great, but tell me what that means. Well, it means she's okay, cool. Now tell me what it means from character. What does that mean to you? Like,
Hmm.
if you had to, I am blah blah blah, tell me. And when she said it, I was like, do you sound how you hear how negative that's like? Would you ever explain yourself as I
Yeah.
am blah blah blah?
Yes, and also
No.
sometimes the explanations who they are. This is where I get really like I'm fuming inside, right? The choices are usually mediocre. They're just average
Yeah.
choice. Ah, he's just a random guy. He
Mm-hmm.
just drives a random car. He's just a regular guy that works in an office. Like, what do you do with that type of information?
Yeah.
How does that impact you on a visceral level? I mean, where do you extract acting mass out of an average, bland, tasteless type of ingredient, right? This recipe doesn't taste like anything.
Yeah.
You have to make powerful choices. You have to go into the polarities of things. And here, again, I think Hermeticism teaches us a beautiful lesson, whether you want to call it Hermeticism or, the law of dualism. I mean, there are many
Right.
variations to this philosophy, right?
Yeah.
In his origin, of course, somehow from Egypt, it migrated through Crete to the Pythagorean school, where it kind of evolved in its full blown shape, that then was adopted by the alchemists of the 11th and 12th and 13th century, and then alchemy was also translated into the Gothic cathedrals, right? We see a lot of Hermeticism and alchemy in the construction of those medieval cathedrals and all over Europe, and then it kind of branched out in other, basically we can find it in logo design
Almost
and marketing
everything.
everywhere.
Everywhere.
I mean,
People don't have the connection to be aware
right.
that that is where any of that stems, but I mean
Yes.
that's with a lot of stuff. I think history unfortunately is getting so lost, but
Hmm.
that's the thing. It's a seed for almost everything at this point. So whether you learn about it or believe it or not, whatever your basic fundamental religion came from, is probably some seeds of that in there. I pulled this up to find it real quick because I wanted to remember what it was, and I thought it'd be a
Sure.
great little moment of teaching
Yes.
for actors. A fraudulent psychic was the first thing it said on there. So I was like, all right, so tell me what that means, and of course,
Mhm.
oh, well, I'm faking everything, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, all right, now if you are this psychic, tell me from your point of view, who are you? Well, I'm a psychic that's faking. I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Who wants to come
Yeah.
to you? Like, who's gonna? Here's my money. Tell me tell me the bullshit, right?
Right.
So automatically, I'm like that. I don't think she thinks that about herself. Like, why?
Exactly.
if you present yourself as the most amazing psychic that you have, whether you believe you have full powers or you use other versions to make sense of what you're giving them, which is what she has, you have to find a way to make sense of what you are from your perspective. Otherwise, you're going to be showing me a fraudulent psychic, which is not going to be
No,
the human. It's going to be an actor.
I think wow, what happened? Where are you? Hello? Dean, where are you, sir? Dean got kicked out of the show. I don't know what happened here. Maybe he checked himself out on a computer. Maybe he's coming back through the link. Maybe there is a problem with the connection over here. Hey, man, where did you go?
I don't know. Into the darkness, my friend.
Interesting. Yeah.
Into the darkness.
And out of the darkness, he surfaces again into consciousness. Yes. I guess how we can translate this first section in terms of acting advice, or like in any type of instrument we want to cast it into. Like, it doesn't necessarily have to mean that we use this just as actors, right? Where there are so many ways where our communication, where it's really crucial, right, in terms of how to achieve something and how to get something done or to perform something, our communication is based on the fact that we've explored the boundaries for ourselves beforehand. We made sure that we went into also the uncomfortable places through the repetition, through the connection with the word that we like to pronounce, through the art that we like to present, through the details that we like to illustrate, right? Our art needs to be felt. And so what you are saying is also, you have to work as a unit. If you separate yourself as an actor from the character, how are you supposed to act as one unit? How are you supposed to flow through the room? Yeah. Are you supposed to be liquid, adaptable, and interesting, right? It can't.
I find it more work.
It's way more work.
Like you literally totally have to figure out how the whole scene's supposed to go, and then try to do exactly what you have in your head.
I have a lot of people I also met on set that are claiming that they're coming from certain teachings. We won't, call the names, and I've read this book by this person, and the way I act is in this book. Is like, okay, has this person who has wrote this book ever been on stage or acted for, I don't know, like 18 years in a soap opera? Like, does this person really know what acting means? Because this stuff is interesting for psychoanalysis.
Oh yeah.
When it's about performance, it doesn't work. Because performance is about life. It's about reacting, putting something out there that's critical, but also fragile, that is rebellious, but also docile, that is somehow dark, but also full of light.
But hear the word. Say the word that you just use.
Dark and light? Docile and rebellious?
The P word. Performance. What does that mean by itself? Right? It's like when you start with someone, we all have locked into the word acting, and that word ruins most beginners because they want to act. The same as if I put into perspective of a performance, you're worried about the outcome already.
100%. I even say this in my book. 100%. I totally I sometimes battle even with acting coaches in LA. It's like, no, I don't call it performance anymore. It's like, this is the term, the word. This is what it means. Since it was once born and invented, the term perfectly describes what we're doing. Why do it? No, because it separates me. No, it doesn't, because it's formed from inside. Per formare. This is who we are. It's not this guy there or that. It's you. Be in touch with that force. Don't neglect that, because that, like you said, it's even, I can tell you this also from experience, when you have to shoot a lot, or when you tour with your theater a lot, when you have to produce a lot of shows during the day. And I have also clients from the Disney entertainment cruises who are like hardcore performers. They're like Detroit steelworkers, twice a day on stage, bam, give it. 2,000 people in the auditorium. Man, this is crazy. They're performing 8 shows a week. What are we talking about? So when you have that amount of shows, you have to, function. But at the same time, never lose your spark, never lose your smile, never use your wit. And that can only be done this way, because otherwise you have so much inertia you create between you and what the final product needs to be, that it's not going to be fun anymore. And you have to produce so much more energy, effort in order to get there.
trying to create the outcome. It's just and I love that because if most theater actors come from a place that you run it so much before you even do your first actual live that majority of people get lost in that, and that's when they start sailing versus that moment to moment thing where most,
Mhm.
and I say that most, but film actors can be the same way. They can do it the exact same thing. Or to me, the reason I liked film was because if there was a moment that I got aware of, like, oh shit, you are totally playing the way you think you're playing. Stop it, right? You, I remember I was in Atlanta and it was for callbacks for one of the Iron Man movies, I think. And for whatever reason, and this was not that long ago, maybe
Mhm.
8 years or something like that.
Mhm.
I'm in the room and I'm halfway through the scene, and for whatever reason, my awareness kicked in, was like, what the are you doing? You are acting your ass off right now. And this human just showed up and I continued
Oh,
doing the scene. And I could only imagine that the casting director's like,
something changed here.
who is this one? Why wasn't he here before? And
Right.
is the character supposed to be like,
Was
a
this
little.
for Tony Stark? What this was this for Robert Downey Jr.'s role? Or
No, no, no. Tony definitely was going to take that from me either way. No, this was
yeah.
like one of the lead scientists or something that were
Yeah, I
building. I
could
don't remember
see
what it
it.
was, but
Right. The
yeah, I
art.
just totally remember kicking in and going, "What are you doing?"
Why did
And
that happen? Why do you think?
I think it was the leading up to. I had to drive to Atlanta, so it's a four and a half something hour for
Mhm.
me. I didn't get much sleep. I was already, there was just stuff that had piled on before they had moved it, time frames, got lost, whatever. But I didn't take that moment to go,
Yeah,
be here and just
yeah,
stop. Just be
yeah.
here. I never stopped. I ran in the room to run
Right,
into my scene and
right.
just ran into whatever character decided to show up at the time.
First of all, smash the like button, creative community, because this is beautiful stuff that we're sharing today. I have a guest who, yeah, believe me, he has a very busy schedule, and he's slicing off something of his energy, time, and space continuum for us here to present his
Oh, you
truth.
feed me, my friend. I always feel better when I get off the phone with you. So no
Likewise, man.
no taking
Likewise.
energy from me.
No, but thank you so much for the value proposition, first of all. Second of all, I mean, from Shifu Li to the books that you discovered, where did you find the first time, like, okay, I'm applying this actually? Because the knowledge
Yeah.
assumption is super fascinating. Like with anything, right? You can assume a lot of knowledge, and there's, of course, that already kind of illuminates you. You're creating new neural pathways. You're getting smarter, badim, badam,
Hmm.
badam. But when it comes to the effectiveness, right? Like Shifu Li was saying, like translated in the most effective vector, as I feel where most people struggle with, right? We have this here where I talk about, like, yeah, we have human beings that come into the studio. They, the first step is done, but then, they don't get out of shaping this reality thing, right? They
Hmm.
they have a lot of knowledge, they have the theoretical construct, but really putting it into work. When did that start for you? When you finally kind of place this stuff into a functioning system?
The wonder of I was living in Los Angeles and I hit the wonderful rock bottom
Mm.
of the.
Ding dong.
Yeah, it was, my girlfriend, which is now my wife at the time. I used to run clubs for a living. I had a promotions
Mhm.
company, and it's a draining industry already.
Mm.
You're in and around people that, for lack of
Absolutely.
better words, just suck
Yeah.
energy from you.
Yeah, they're energy
Um,
drainers and vampires
oh,
for sure.
vampires, man, and
Yeah. I
especially in
worked in
Los
hospitality
Angeles.
for 15 years, so yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
and most of us, in the actor world, dabbled in there because
Sure.
it's a
It's
job that you can,
right. Yeah.
go when you need to.
Flexible and go and makes sense. It makes sense.
Yeah, and I had on a mental place, a physical place was just wore out from dealing with the
Mhm.
high echelon of Hollywood celebrities,
Yes.
kids, and whoever else I was dealing with, the personalities, just all of it. So I just was like, I'm done. I'm company, take it, business partners. I'm out of here for a while, and went into just a funk for a little while, and for whatever reason the memory of the knowledge that I had finally ready to get used. I kind of
Mm.
look at it kind of like I, not in a
That's
bad
a
way, but I explained
no.
it to like when you find the perfect person, in reality, you've probably met the perfect person a few times, but if you
100%.
weren't
Yes,
ready
ready.
to
Yeah,
find it,
100%.
you couldn't see it,
Yeah,
And I think it put me on my back enough that I had to look up and see that's where all of it was. So I then started working from the inside out instead of going,
that's
ugh,
cool.
look at all that I
Absolutely.
see.
Guys on Facebook, ladies and gentlemen on Instagram, smash the like button for this value proposition. 100% agree. In the moment, also when I met my wife 16 years ago, it was like I finally realized, this is what I've accumulated all this knowledge for. Now
Hmm.
finally, I see a structure to the power that I have inside. And so to me, it was like finally realizing that she was there many times, but now I was ready.
Yeah.
Now I was ready to jump into darkness and to take that leap of faith and going into the union. Because the thing about the union, and unifying also with your value, with your vision, and with what you want to become and what you can be, is what we have here. The person that successfully uses its faculties is a successful person. And this is what Hermeticism also teaches us in a way. A successful actor comes from successfully practicing acting, right? Being like standing out, doing your research, having a day that is steady. And we're going to talk about that,
Yeah.
having, of course, healthy habits and all that. But understanding that it's you, that you are successful already, that you are the successful actor, but you have to behave accordingly. Again, like if you're just sitting there and you're just observing time flying by, I mean, where how do you pretend that this is going to be a successful endeavor, right? You have
Why
to.
isn't anybody giving me roles yet?
The world is unfair. It's a conspiracy against me. I know, right?
Hmm.
I will take away all of their jobs. That's why they won't give me any. Yeah, they don't want to make money like crazy. Sure,
You're
Hollywood
too
doesn't want
good
to
for
make.
the
Yeah,
role.
yeah, too good for the world. No, because this desire, right, also this the Kabbalah in a way, or Hermeticism, or all, let's say, New Age teachings
Hmm.
they will, they ultimately come from these beautiful teachings and ancient scriptures. There, it's all about the heart desire. That is the power that you have inside, and it's just seeking expression. That's why you have the desire in the first place. So everything is there already. You just have to realize now, finally, the door's open, so I can go through and finally grab it. It was there. It was there.
Yeah.
It's just about you making that actual, conscious step towards it.
With that idea of polarity, and we always, especially in kind of the new age, the secret, the Abraham Hicks, that kind of idea, a lot of people really focus in on the I have to always be positive thing.
Hmm.
But knowing polarity, using these hermetics in a way, and most people's initial instance is going to come from the, well, I just don't want. That's fine.
That's fine. Absolutely.
Embrace that.
Yes.
Write down all those things you don't want, and
Yes.
then go back down that list and write the polarity of it. Write the exact opposite of what
Yeah.
that is. Because that, on the other side, that's the do wants, right?
Exactly. And
Those are
also,
those things you can put your
yeah.
focus to.
And I always say, the moment you say no, you start gaining control. The moment you say, this is definitely not something that I want. Beautiful.
Perfect. Yeah.
Perfect. You've excluded 95% of the useless stuff that you don't want to focus on anymore. Now you don't
Yeah.
have excuses anymore. And so everything that is, like you said, a polarity of that is the juicy stuff. You should go there
Hmm.
then. If this is definitely not what you want, then you know exactly what you want.
And you think about nowadays, it's not as much of a thing, but looking in our past, almost everyone kept a daily journal, right?
Mm-mm.
They always wrote what they were eating, how they were feeling, what they were
Mm.
doing, how they were feeling, what we were seeing, how I'm feeling. And if you notice that the feeling starts
Ah,
going
beautiful.
along with what you're
Right.
writing, take 2 weeks, take a month. You don't have to necessarily, go at it as a journal, but write down what you eat, write down what you do, and consistently write down how you're feeling. You
Hmm.
can take that full month and almost build a chart and go, wow, every time I ate blah, 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 I felt shitty this week. Every time I did blah, 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 or hung out with blah, 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 I felt
Mm.
shitty, or I felt great when I was hanging out with.
Mm-hmm.
You can then take all of that knowledge, that data, and go, okay, wait, if I hang out with blah, 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 and I'm eating these 5 things,
Mm-hmm.
that combination seems like a winner. All of these things are the ones that keep me feeling the funk. Let's see if I can move those out. And even if you just want to try it for the week, go back for that week, try to do all the goods that you saw were doing the best for
Yes.
you. And that's different for everybody, right? It's like when
Right.
you talk about diet and people are like, "Oh, you carnivore diet all the way." Not for everybody. Not everybody feels that.
Right.
We are literally from different DNA. We
Right.
can't all be on the same diet. There is no
Absolutely.
perfect diet.
And that's great. I love that fact that we're all different. I say that also on my website is like we are all from different, we're coming from slightly different backgrounds, different
Hmm.
desires, different feelings, and how we want to convey them. And so therefore there is no one road, no one book, no one, it's the repetition of things that you believe in that will make you successful.
Hmm.
That definitely will shape your artistry and get you closer to that mastery level in life, which whether or not that was the thing that you aspired from the beginning or is something that kind of bloomed lately into your life, or you know, some love starts with being in love right away, and yes, that is a very fortunate, beautiful moment, but some love grows over time, and then you realize, hey, this person, that person grew on me. That's why it's called that way. She grew on me or he grew on me. It's like, I don't want to get rid of her anymore. It's like, I love
Hmm.
this parasite, right? I want to host this parasite for a while because
Yeah.
I feel like completed to that. And so sometimes you discover love. You discover it in the process of repeating and repeating it because the repetition gives us sanity. And also here in Hermeticism, there is, you know, the fact that Hermeticism kind of emphasizes that, you know, all is the mind, the immovable mover of everything. And so therefore, everything else is moved by that initial thought. And what could that thought be? You know,
Hmm.
what is it if it's not love? And of course, the composite form of love is fear. And so we need that blue and red particle in life. We won't get rid of that, the negative part. We shouldn't. It's there for a reason because it makes us do the good stuff. Like you said, if I can control what I don't want, then I usually have a pretty good idea where I should go then, what I want. And so therefore it's good to have it some sort of as a like a tribunal, like an invisible tribunal, and that guides me, you know, on the path of all the stuff in order to avoid that guy, right, who kind of leads me down the path of darkness, of obsessive procrastination and unhealthy habits, right? And like you said, like sometimes kind of excluding everything that is not nutritious for you is not that difficult. It
Yeah.
isn't like a thing of, oh my God, how can I do this? Finally organizing my life. Like, first of all, get rid of the people who kind of, you know, suck you down, who drain your energy and make you feel uncomfortable about yourself. And surround you with people that are maybe coming from the same successful area that you one day you want to be in. Because if you're, you know, around successful people, somehow that will resonate with you. It will kind
Yeah.
of infect you.
And I
Once you
think
flew first class, you want to always fly first class.
and I think that all it comes from that as within, so without, right?
Mhm.
If you know what you're putting in your body, you know what you're going to be able to physically use as output, right? The same, and I mean that from social media to people around you, the
Everything.
thoughts you get, the things you watch. Like, you know, we're in an industry where obviously we enjoy watching all kinds of stuff. And while I enjoy watching a movie about war, I don't
Yes.
necessarily want it, right?
Right.
So finding the ones that can leave you with something that gives the and I think great
Absolutely.
films bring hope, even if it's the most horrible film, right?
Absolutely. I mean, we can identify with those singular stories that are happening in a context, let's say war. And of course, we don't want war, but we want to observe how some people got out of that situation and learn from it and get inspired from it.
Yeah, yeah, because if you can look at everything that way, I think like a great challenge for anyone. Start with your social media.
Mm-mm.
Look at all the people you follow. Anytime something pops up that you're like, ugh, I don't feel good after
Right,
watching that. Get rid
right.
of it. Even if it's like, you know, someone that posts funny stuff most of the time, but
Hmm.
it's you know, and this sounds bad, but even if it's stuff that's truly going on in the world, but it makes you feel crappy seeing it all the time,
Guys, a creative community. Are you understanding what Dean West is telling us here? Because it's so fundamental. I mean, we're doing this like at 3:45 EST, right? Just randomly, we're dropping this in front of a couple of people here on YouTube. But I think there is uh, like a really like sincere profoundness about this. What you put in yourself, what you allow yourself to be attached to, this is how you reflect and express. So if the stuff that you put in and that you attach yourself is unhealthy, toxic, or just for you, it's not adequate for you. It doesn't mean that it's bad or evil. It's just not the right thing for you personally. Then, of course, what you will express will be flawed. It will be inconsistent. It will never reflect your true potential, right? So take in what you feel, you are resonating with. And if your inner tribunal tells you, hey, this food, this person, this club, this habit, it's just not it, right? Quit it, stop it, reduce it, decrease it, whatever, right? I mean, control it, take control of whatever it is.
Yeah.
Then you reduce, because we are membranes, we are made of water and energy, carbon. We are just a reflection of what's going on a universal scale, as a sand corn in time. And if that sand corn, right, gets damaged, everything that sand corn will express will be also damaged. So make sure to be as whole, as organic with yourself as possible, especially if you have big dreams working for you. This is why we're on this channel, to inspire people that big dreams can be achieved through a process, right? Through a way. And of course, that way, some sacrifices must be done. But truly ask yourself, is this a sacrifice to say no to people that are damaging your life anyways? Is this a sacrifice to say no to stuff that is just poison for your body? Is this really a sacrifice?
It's funny because most people they wait till they are in the worst physical health before they go to a doctor. When in reality, if before you left to go to the doctor, you actually said, what is it that I'm probably doing that is causing me Like, what's the worst thing I do every week that affects me? Answers start blowing up in your head. If you just ask yourself the question, your mind will answer. Even if you don't want it to.
Yes.
That's why I always say the question you ask yourself is usually more important than what's going on up there. Because I can ask myself, why do I always feel so crappy? Or I can ask myself, why am I starting to feel better?
There is absolutely. There is a technique. It's called the 5 why technique. And if you're asking yourself 5 times why, you pretty much get there. It's like, why do I feel crappy today? I haven't slept well. Why haven't you slept well? Well, I went late to bed. Why did you go, late to bed? Because I always go to bed late. Why? Because I don't have a proper, kind of bad rhythm and habit to do that. Why? Because I feel lonely, and every time people call me, I get distracted and I go out, even though I know I shouldn't. Ding dong.
Yeah, it's there. You're gonna find it. It's why it's hard for me. So, obviously we have I had the podcast, Dean West Perspective, and it's hard for me to I couldn't narrow down of just going, all right, I'm gonna do an acting podcast. Because it's all so much combined. Like, wellness affects all of that. The way you approach life affects all of that. Your spirituality affects all of that. And all of that is combined in life, which again is what we're doing as actors.
Look, we have the definition of success here, and it's a progressive evolution of the faculties of a successful man, of a successful person. Again, is it successful? I mean, ask yourself, like, is this a successful habit? Is this a successful behavior? Is this a successful lifestyle that I'm practicing throughout the week, throughout the month? Again, check on your goals. What are your goals? They're tremendously high. You're very ambitious. You want to achieve great stuff. Is this corresponding? Is this the law of correspondence? Because Newton teaches us, I think it's the 3rd law, right, of thermodynamic. It's the same force counteracting in nature to the incoming force. It's counteracting outwardly. So that means you have to put the same amount of success into something in order to achieve that type of success. That's why I'm saying this is not just, some spiritual new age mumbo jumbo when I'm saying you are a successful person already, if you just realize it. This is like exactly literally what it means. If you act on that principle and you put that amount of work into it, you will receive that automatically. Because, yeah, no,
Well,
please.
you can take all of the laws that we're talking about, whether you believe they're spiritual mumbo jumbo or not, and
Mm,
go find the exact explanation that science provides at this point.
mhm.
We're that far down the science road that they started, of course, science and religion or
Yeah,
spirituality were so
yeah,
far apart from each
right,
other.
right. But they're coming closer, I feel, right? They wanna squeeze them into this one casket. But
Can't
yeah,
help it.
yeah, yeah.
Because the
A
more we
rocket
go
can.
down the science road, the more
Yeah.
we keep finding
Mm,
things and
mm, mm,
questions
mm.
and answers that keep stemming us back to stuff that we knew before anyone was brilliant, right?
Weird, isn't
Yet
it
they were
strange?
doing it.
Yes, all these antique cultures, these ancient scriptures, these incredible Old Testaments of these civilizations are telling us that these people were exactly thinking about this stuff. The analogies were sometimes a bit different, but they actually were already contemplating all this, calculating all this, and where if you go into the Pythagoreans, or like, look at how they describe matter and how we can manipulate matter, and how everything is geometrical and how everything has a vector and an energy reliance to it. This is crazy stuff. This is like
Hmm.
highest technology, highest science already, 8 BC. So
If we know it's all frequency, right? We know it's
mm,
all energy. We know frequencies work on different levels back to Tower of Death.
right.
What level do you want? Where is the stuff that you want to access? Because if it's being up there working with those people that are at the top level, you need to go through and beat up every one of your shadow selves so that
Yep.
you own it, so that you can be at that frequency to play at that level. You're not going to play at that level when you first start because you haven't got to that frequency. You can't even see that that level exists just yet.
Wow. Yeah, it's really, and the tower, of course, in Tarot, the tower is the card of change, because change is the constant that we're always facing in life, right? It's the one thing that can't be changed is change. And so therefore the continuous aspect of life is the everyday change. Our cells, they decay and then they rebuild themselves. Everything is in constant rotation, spin, and change. And therefore the tower, of course, climbing up the tower is the metamorphosis of ourselves, right? It's kind of shaping the snake over and over again, learning from every experience and implementing that into the further stages of life, into the further stages of the tower of your success, because it is you that wants the change.
Yeah.
And usually,
Keeping,
no, I'm sorry.
no, you go.
The tower has 9 floors, and it is a square, so it's 9 per 4, which is 36, which is exactly the half of life, because our life on average is 72 years. And if you add 1 plus 2 plus 3, adding up to 36, you get the number of the beast, because that is the crossroad, that is the fork, that is the forked reptile, that is the devil, right? At the crossroads of your life, you have to decide. So 36 is again the implementation of that final decision. You want to be on the dark side, you want to be on the light side. How do you want to use your energy?
I'm pretty sure that's also the same age that majority of these enlightened masters we talk about had their big epiphanies or died at.
Oh,
Or
yes.
how old was Bruce Lee?
Yes. It's interesting, right? Like,
Bringing it back around.
interesting, right? Bruce Lee. Let's look that up. Shifuli.
Was he 34 or was he 36?
So he died at 32. Interesting.
32. Okay, that was my other
32.
thought.
32. Also, very interesting number. 32 is the highest degree of Freemasonry. Of course, we have the 33rd, but that is just, that's more of an administrational type of degree. The 32nd is the Lord degree, if you're in the constructor's degree.
It's all mathematical if you can get to the numbers idea. It's funny that a lot of people that are in the, that polymath mentality that look at the world because they see all these things in such a completely different perspective. There's a guy named Robert Grant that I'm gonna try to get on the podcast to come hang out. And if you don't follow him on the gram already, go find him.
I
But he
think
has just
yeah.
been putting so much cool information out. And he's a polymath that came from the business world that eventually just was like, nah, I'm done with that. Jumped into the spiritual world and this mathematical equations and finding the coolest
Mm-hmm.
combinations between the pyramids and just
Mm-hmm.
so much stuff that he's going down. It's an interesting road to watch.
When do you feel like an actor that gets your place, like usually how long do you feel like when he's completely alien to these new aspects also, and how you, of course, you teach acting, but this is how your work is entrenched also of your spirituality and your beliefs. So when do you feel you like, now we're making some progress, now the person is realizing what I'm talking about? When does that usually happen?
I think it depends, obviously, on each actor that comes to the table and what baggage you bring with you. Because a lot of people have tricks they've already kind of learned to get
Hmm.
through things, yeah, like we all do. We may not realize it, but we
Right.
we find a little extra alcohol to make us numb out enough that we don't have to deal with the pain we were going
Sure.
through, which we
Sure.
never get to gain the knowledge from going through it.
Hmm.
Um, if I have someone brand new and we work on that allowing before we really get into the me seeing myself on camera thinking I need to
Hmm.
act and make it something,
Hmm.
if I can get you to understanding what this allowing thing does,
Hmm.
just letting you affect me, I'm not trying to do anything except for maybe get whatever it is that I want,
Hmm.
but really it's just me and you in this room affecting each other. If I can allow that to happen early, Phew, so fast, because you let go of all of the crazy beliefs that you have that are just like in arms, ready to
Hmm.
fight. Now, you can come from a background that might be very religious, and we got a ways to go
Sure.
because there's so many things that I'm gonna say that you're like, yeah, but
Yes, like what?
yeah, I mean, I did a exercise in class one time, and it's just letting people realize how powerful that I am is. And we did a quick
Hmm.
little breathing exercise, which I use a lot of like Wim Hof mixed in with it.
Beautiful.
And after the exhale, I would say, okay, take your big inhale. And on the exhale, I'd say, now follow whatever I'm going to say. I am broke. I am broke. And you just see people's face like, whoa,
Hmm.
which just feels funky. Okay, let's do it one more time. I am rich.
Hmm.
Oh, you see them, they're feeling that one. They're like, I am God. I am. Is anybody else going to say this? Because just the word had so much stuff attached that
Mamma
they
mia.
couldn't even say it.
Wow.
And of
Yes,
course, I'm not meaning that, you are the one of all of it.
of
But if
course
you
not.
can't latch on to
Mhm,
that
mhm,
particle that you are, that
mhm.
power that
To the
you
oneness.
have,
Mhm.
which is, mixed in with the all, that is you are part of the all if the
I like
all is all.
all is all. What is all is the mind? Is that not Alan Watts? No, what is the book? James. It's also it's
Might be Alan Watts.
Alan Watts maybe. It's a beautiful book, a really really short one. I do something similar. It's really funny, but I'm not surprised really. I let them start with "I am here."
Yeah.
And then I explain, of course, I am bada boom sum ki sum, the background a bit in the Bible, and also balsamico, Count de Saint Germain, all these. What is I am, like how can you transcend that? But and what is here, and now I am here and I'm pissed, and now I'm here, I'm fucking frustrated.
Yeah.
Now I'm here and I'm fucking done with all this crap, and I'm the babam babam. Let them vomit them out, and it's like, okay, let's go. Let's polarize everything. Let's go into the dualism. Let's express the good stuff. I'm here and I'm psyched. I'm here and I'm excited. I'm here and I'm happy. I'm here. And after a couple of minutes already, look at me. It's like, damn, you just detached me from the matrix. It's like, you haven't seen nothing yet. This is
We've
like
only
kinder egg. We
just
just
begun.
dun,
Yeah.
dun, like,
Well, I'll work backwards sometimes in that same manner of like, all right,
mm-hmm,
who are you?
mm-hmm.
Let's get it. Oh, I'm a doctor. Oh, that's great. What you do. But who are you?
Yeah.
I'm a guy. That's great that your gender's male. Who are
Mm-hmm,
you? I am my thoughts. Come on. Do you think the same you did when you were 5? Okay, no. I am
mm-hmm,
my bones. Those cells are changing every 7 years, bro.
mm-hmm,
Keep
mm-hmm.
going. Right
Keep
until
going.
eventually you're just like, I don't know. I am. There you go. Stop.
Yeah.
Say that one
Good.
more time.
Yes.
Until we
Yeah.
work our way to realizing what this presence is that we hold.
Mm.
And when you can realize that you're the awareness of the presence, now you can allow that presence to take place in any circumstances that you so choose. You just set the circumstances. Where am I? I am, bada bing. I mean, some of the greatest actors, and you usually see it in class before they've done anything, have an imagination that they can let themselves play with any idea. There is nothing that you
Yeah.
say that they're going to go, well, that's not
Right.
logical. I don't
Right.
fucking care. They
Right.
made the script, not me.
Right. Right. Logic before impression before logic. Billy Wilder. Right.
Feel it. You
Feel
can
it.
feel it.
Whatever. And if you can explain it and put it into a performance container and it can be expressed, then it's showbiz. Show
Yeah.
it. Let
It's,
me have part on this.
it's my approach with kids is usually, let's play for real
Mm-hmm.
versus with an adult where I'm like, let's be there. Like it is real. It
Mm-hmm.
is. Don't play for real. Let it
That's
be.
very smart. Yeah, I like
But the
that.
kid, they're already doing that. That's the
Yeah.
terms they got. Like play. Yeah. I mean, I've got a dragon next to me right now. We're good. you know.
What helped you shaping this amazing, incredible container that you are today? Of course, books, your childhood, all these different teachings, a mix of all that. But where does this ultimate like force, this humor come from? What do you think?
Curiosity.
Mm-hmm.
Majority curiosity. I lucked up and had an amazing mom and dad that were never like this is what you have to do, be whatever. They were always open. Of course, of course, like anything, you say you're going to be an actor, and okay,
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
they were supportive. They helped me do whatever I wanted to
Mm-hmm.
do. They'd bring me to stuff, and I wouldn't have got where I am outside of them.
Mm-hmm.
But I started in that.
Cool.
Really cool role models within the church that I ended up going to later on in life, which again, my parents never forced me. It was like, we were kids, they bring us to church every Sunday, and then they're like, all right, this is so hard to get y'all to go. It's fine. Do what you want to do. And my mom, I would say is Christian, but a little more on the spiritual than necessarily having to go to church all the
Mm-hmm.
time. My dad has a belief, but it's not like a here, look at me, anything,
Right.
like just completely
Right.
removed from it. It
Right.
just is his, amazing presence that he has, and it's just there.
Beautiful.
Never
Right.
really talks about religion one way or the other. And then the youth minister that I had met at this church that I was going to was just a awesome human being. I
Mm-hmm.
did, taught me gymnastics, just did a lot with this guy, and just had such an open heart that I would say that almost brought me wanting to know more about Catholicism at the time and
Mm-hmm.
God, because
Mm-hmm.
there's, as a kid, I think most people, when they get into that idea of what death is, that immediately,
Mm-hmm.
wait, what? There's shit on the other side of this? What are we doing here?
All right, let's go.
Who's dying? What happened to that squirrel? Like as soon as all of that opens, if that curiosity is there and you can keep going at it, and then I think, like I said earlier, when I hit that rock bottom, I think curiosity died for a little while. And when I was able to wake up that again, is what drove me back into it. And it was a mixture, it was a mixture of industry being hard, LA being tough, people being shitty, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
But we all have it. It's going to come from your friends, your family, the groups you're in. You're always going to have people judging you. Whether you decide that their judgment is defining you or not,
That's another
that's
thing.
you.
All these concepts, right? I mean, even the most profound ones are human explanations, right? There are somehow, rational thoughts, and they are trying to break down something that can't be broken down. So religion, the concept of God, what we know or what we think Jesus was, all this stuff, it's just a human perception. Everything happens in the mind, whether he really looked that way, whether or not there is this, this God with white hair kind of judging over us all and creating and designing. We really don't know. We know for a fact that there is energy, that there is frequency, that there are miracles happening, that you can really influence the outcome of things, right? Positively manipulate the outcome, of course, that you can
Within
put
our bubble.
within our bubble. That is absolutely possible. And if you are not subscribing to that, because you're looking for an alibi, you will find any excuse suitable. If that's your God, I mean, we had clients that couldn't go to certain places and act because of their religion, and they, missed out on big opportunities. And it's like, yeah. So you feel better now? Do you think your God feels better now? That you haven't used your talents? That you haven't taken on that responsibility and that burden to go there, even though technically it's forbidden by the scripture? But which scripture? Made by man 1,000 years ago? Do you think they are now happy in their graves that you haven't, kind of fulfilled your mission, your energy, put it into fruition for something beautiful?
Yeah.
I'm not sure about that. I don't want to, I don't want to offend anybody, but I believe, like what you said, everything is energy. What is the definition of God? Ultimately, it's us being here and talking and reflecting about that and kind of communicating, exchanging that energy. That is already a shrapnel, like above so below, right? Of that God frequency, of that God right? But guys, you have to realize it's all a book, right? Whether you subscribe to it or not, it's your power to decide what you want to do with your life, not the book's power.
And I'll always take it to, I'll honor your beliefs, but I want you to know that it is your belief, which is the thing that you've repeated long enough that it made a difference to you. I'm not going to push you to do one thing or the other, but I do want you to get to the awareness that it is from the belief. That part is yours. If you feel better having not participated in something you felt was evil or not doing good, then I don't want you to do something that in your mentality it was evil or bad, because again, it's us, right?
Right. I have something here. No, I absolutely agree. I don't want to push you to do things that you believe are evil or not adequate in the way you should observe your faith or anything like that. I'm not saying that. It's just ask yourself the question if this is really what and it's not an heretical question. It's not a Luciferian question. By all means, I don't want to drive you down. I know what he wants to do. No. It's your life, your energy. You can do whatever you want with it. Over here at the COACHMC studio, over there at Team West Acting Studio, we're all about your success and fulfilling your mission as a great, vibrating, resonating, emanating, wonderful human being that uses its creative power to express and entertain people and give them hope and inspiration. This is all, right? Everything else is absolutely up to you. I call this cosmic symmetry. If you behave in symmetry, what means correspondence? Correspondation. We are corresponding. We are writing to each other. You are writing to the universe. Your love letters are your daily work. Your castings and your auditions, those are the bigger paragraphs and the important chapters. Booking the role, this is like one whole section of the book of success that you are writing. This is the correspondence that you have. And if you don't do it below, how do you are, supposed to receive it from above?
Yeah, if that belief system isn't in place for you knowing that you deserve that, it's like, I'm sure you do the same thing. It's like, all right, let's stop calling ourselves aspiring actors. Just we all, even people that aren't actors are actors to some degree. You're not living in this life without realizing that this is just one big stage.
You have to change the program, right? And you have to shift from this paradigm that you are in if you're not fully satisfied, if you're not happy, or if you feel that you can do more. Because sometimes that feeling, that nagging feeling inside of you, your conscience that knocks against the door, right? This is just your reptilian center. This is just your ego that wants to suppress the work that is coming up. Because yes, there is of course work, but this is also your ego that wants to take the path of least resistance instead of accepting its own greatness. And therefore, of course, I welcome the work because it means that I'm already on the path to greatness.
Yeah. It's like the right now, it's like the year of courses where most people buy a course and go through like the first two and like, I'm not working yet. I'll be damned.
Yeah.
Well, you didn't put, again, what you put in is what you will get out.
It's not about consuming a course. Like
No.
if you're, let's say this sphere is the course, the physical circumstance you're in is the course. So the body craves and the mind obeys. If your body craves for downtime, for lazy time, for procrastination, your mind obeys and you go buy, stupid stuff. If your body craves greatness and success, and if you want to, so therefore you have to put it in first. Understand that this is a cycle that you initiate. No, you're not receiving or consuming. This is not a. That's why I love this type of concept as well, because it's all about, the accountability of you, and also the power and the responsibility of you. So if your physical circumstance is positive and driven towards success, your mind wants to have more, and you will kind of, shatter down the walls of Jericho with your fanfares, right, and with your trumpets, and finally you get access to this vast field of greatness. That is, you have to do it, right? Once the body does it, the mind obeys to it.
Mm-hmm. I think that goes back into we were talking about of like, cleaning up your social media. When you get the stuff out of there, now go find stuff, because while yes, the negative, funky feel bads aren't going to help you, and they're probably going to keep you back down there, putting in the good stuff, the high vibrations, the people that are bringing that other frequency that you're like, man, I felt good just hearing him talk about blah, blah, blah for 5 seconds. Go subscribe to them. Go put more of that, because again, something has to feed us. And I find when I watch a movie that affects me enough, that's when I'm like, I'm going to go look at some sides,
Yeah.
right? It makes me want to go do, or even physical. I watch a movie and there's some like badass fighters. I'm like, I'm going to the gym. What time is it?
Right. I don't care. Right. That's true. Because change comes from that, by observing something, having the thought on it. Because to me, it is impossible that a thought just stands alone. A thought triggers a feeling, even if you suppress it. And so if you follow down that path, and if you have a strong thought that triggers a strong feeling, usually there is truth behind that. That means that you should do that. That kind of, and that is also the impulse that drives us in the casting process, right? If you have that hunch, if you have a thought of doing that, and your feeling is like, hey, oh wow, this feels, go, let it go, trust it. How can we get to that state of being aware of these moments? Through meditation, through shocking our system sometimes, cold plunges, doing different stuff, go and take some tango lessons, go to an animal pet center and just, help out and volunteer for 2 hours, do different stuff, kind of go into the reflection of how many stories are out there. Like you said, we are all actors. So this is just one movie. We have 8 billion movies. Explore some more movies, explore some more stories, get that cosmic symmetry inside of your system.
Yeah, when we were talking about earlier of, all of these laws affect us of what we know, and then we said within our bubble. Think about if this is in a bubble and someone, something, whatever, how many bubbles come out in that one blow?
Wow.
And if we think about what this cycle of life is, the principle of rhythm, inhale, more bubbles. More bubbles, and this concept of continual rhythm that goes on for however many centuries this existence has happened or has always been, which is the all.
Right.
You were just you were a tiny speck within the bubble of the billions and trillions of quadrillion of bubbles that have been blown every 5 seconds. The expansiveness of just trying to get your mind to think about those type of things, like that's the kind of stuff to me that makes me want to dive a little bit deeper.
In The Shining, there is this part where on the typo, she discovers that he was hitting for 300 pages straight the same sentence, right? He was claiming to write his new book, but it was always the same sentence, right? All work and no play make Jack a dull boy. So all work and no play make Jack a dull boy, which is a very interesting. I mean, there are conspiracy theories like books over this one sentence from Kubrick, and the movie is it's a subliminal message that is it's just an avalanche of different stories, right? We're probably going to do an episode about that. Okay, we have to meet very soon again.
Yeah, I'll have to watch that one before we go. I haven't seen that in a while.
Yeah, but there's a lot of juicy stuff in there. But coming back to the all principle, all is work and no play. If we leave out play from our lives, right, we get dull. we stagnate. Our energy goes in low vibration. It's
Mhm.
it's degrading, and therefore it starts to break up. The symmetry starts to break up, and then we are out of our own axis because we have forgotten to play. We have forgotten to smile. We have forgotten to insert humor in all this, because as deep and beautiful all these reflections are, they're all useless if you don't take it with a pinch of salt, and if you don't insert something on top of, that is, on your own, something that belongs to you, like something that is humorous, something funny. Because you need to, if you're too serious about this, you fall into the trap of being a guru, or falling into the trap of a set of all these toxic bonds with that truth, because the truth is not necessarily always good. Like, all is work and no play. There are some monks, and in the Christian world and also in the Buddhist world, if you go to their communities, it's pretty dark, even though they're coming from a place where they're actually calling themselves truth seekers. But if you go into their world, it's like, ooh, because it's all work. It's no play anymore. Augustinian monks, there are some,
Mhm.
not only Jesuits, of course, we know them, but also some branches of the Buddhist orders are really, really strict and severe in the obedience and the observance of the faith. And when you get to that place where it's all work and no play, it starts kind of falling off. The energy is off. It's not.
Yeah.
I met also some people who were part of the Shaolin temple of the real one, and they bailed because well, I don't want to disclose too many details, because in some ways, but it didn't feel like their life anymore. It was just the stern repetition, right? It's
When
all work.
it's the seeking of truth within construct, which is what we talked about when we first started this. Funny enough to bring it back around.
Hmm.
Our first conversation was about, no matter what we tell you right now about this all truth that we have found,
Hmm.
fucking question it. And when I take
Sure.
the ability of you to question anything away, that I just took everything. If you don't have the ability to question, is why I think a lot of the censorship and some of those things are becoming such a big question, right? Big conversation right now. The more we take the ability for us to dive into these things, to go and experience, I don't care if you want to go be the worst human being because you need to understand the experience.
Hmm.
I'm going to be the last one to take any of that away on a good version or a bad version.
Hmm.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying
No, no,
people
no,
should be
no,
horrible.
absolutely. No, no, no. But it's, of
But if I
course,
take that away, well, then how are you
I'm
ever going to
superimposing.
learn?
Yes,
How are
I'm
you going to go
superimposing my
deeper?
will over your life, and then it becomes tyranny, even
Yeah,
though it's the best intention. Oh, the best dictatorships, right? The
yeah.
most gruesome, most horrible, and gory dictatorships that we have witnessed. Started all with this principle, of, oh, we want to do what's best for our society. That means superimposing your will
What
into my
I
life.
think is best. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I don't think the good guys have ever been on the side of censorship.
No,
Plus, I don't want to drive the,
no,
let's
I don't
say,
want to.
negative humans in our world. I don't want to drive them into a deep dark place where they all get to mingle and we don't get to see what's going on. I would rather people put that stuff out there. Sure, I don't think it's what everyone should be consuming, but most people
No,
aren't going to subscribe to it if they don't want to follow whatever they're
I
doing.
agree. And by turning it into the light, you make it, finally, you demystify it. You kind of break it down into physical shape, and then it's not so scary anymore,
Mm-hmm.
and not so mysterious anymore, right? So this
Yeah.
is all what you're doing. This is how you think you're gonna bring change over the humankind. Just and it becomes, again, you're inserting humor. You're kind of making it a bit, ridiculizing it, just by showing, like, mirroring it, reflecting it, and therefore already kind of it blames itself. You don't have to do any work anymore.
Yeah, I think Saturday Night Live has probably been just as good as any
Mm.
political pundit ever because no matter what, it doesn't matter what right or left, they're
Hmm.
gonna make fun of you,
Hmm.
and they should.
They should. We need more of those.
Yeah,
More of those conversations as well, ladies and gentlemen. We need more of those for my, in my life, for sure. I can't even start to pronounce how happy I am about this beautiful talk that we just recorded. Dean, thank you so much for your time, and please let the creative community know where to find you, how to find you, what you do.
So you can find me on Instagram at the Dean West, and that leads to a lot of my stuff. The podcast is at the Dean West Perspective, which is on most podcast platforms. If you go to thedeanwest.com, there is a section on there called DWAS TV that I started, which I'm gonna chat with you about soon. And you can go create a little profile there. And right now, it's like kind of a one-time price that you can buy into, and you have your own little kind of YouTube
Nice.
setup, so you can put your
Cool.
stuff there. But I also have kind of the courses set up that way. So if people are working their way through any of that, they can also load their exercises to see, work their way through it. But it gives you right now, as that price is set, it's for life. Eventually, I'll kind of do some kind of subscription service to figure it out. But like I said, I want to kind of set that, and I'll show you how you can set up on there, and they'll be able to go do some of your stuff too if you want to go that route. But
Fantastic.
yeah,
Nice, man.
but that's it.
Appreciate
A
it.
little bit
Yes.
everywhere right now, and still, pounding the streets every once in a while.
Where can we find you if we want to look something up that you've been part where you played in? Because guys, you have to also see him act. He's a phenomenal performer,
Oh,
guys.
thank you.
Absolutely.
The last one that came out is probably called A Savannah Haunting. That's a feature film that's out right now, which is on a lot of different platforms. I think it just hit Tubi, so that you can go free or whatever. Just go to IMDb. There's a list of stuff
There's a lot
there.
of bunch of stuff. Absolutely.
There's one that people keep sending me right now because it just became like one I recommended on Netflix, and it's an old film. It's one of the fighting films. Never Back Down 2.
Nice.
Little
Nice.
one in there.
I'm gonna watch it. That's beautiful.
And if you want to see one of like my very first features I did when I was 21, maybe, it's called Skylar, and it's on a lot of different platforms at this point as well. Amazon, Tubi, all those places.
Fantastic. Go
Yeah.
check out the fantastic Dean West. Guys, we have the masterclass coming up 17th of February, of course, always for free, always live with a final Q&A where you can, ask me all sorts of questions. We're going to talk about Audition Tips Volume 2, about really creating impactful characters. And the first one we talked about, the general room, the chair, the window, the door, how you get into this, some fundamental things that are super important. Now we're going to take it to the next level, talk about the character presentation itself, final slate, how to do it, how to impact the casting director, how to see where you are mood wise, and how to kind of counter, start some counter initiatives to get heard and seen while you are performing. And you can find the tickets on Eventbrite down here in the description, also on my Instagram or my link tree as well. It's been an incredible pleasure to have Dean on the show, because he's a very gifted human being. And go check out his content, subscribe to his missions on the social media networks. Thank you so much, creative community, for stopping by. Next Tuesday, it's going to be 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with episode number 9, I believe already it is. Chat, thank you so much for hanging out with us on Instagram, on Facebook as well. We're going to see us Saturday with the Saturday Night Hypnosis on Hypnotics channel, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And that's for it. Thank you so much, Dean, for being here.
My pleasure, my friend. Thank you.
Now, guys, you're ready to perform.